So, get this. What if a game, one that's 400 years old, designed by an empire that's long gone, is still secretly running our world? Sounds kind of crazy, right? But according to our source material, the proof is hiding in plain sight, in the really strange behavior of some of the planet's smartest people.
All right, so let's jump right into the big puzzle here. You've got these incredibly brilliant, super well-connected students in a powerhouse country like China. And for some reason, they're choosing to, what? Become just regular citizens somewhere else? I mean, on the face of it, that just doesn't add up, does it?
The analysis we're looking at calls this whole thing a weird game, and it points to three specific behaviors. First off, these students are spending more time getting perfect at English than their own native language. Second, they're all about chasing foreign money instead of building up their status and respect back home. And third, they're dead set on emigrating, even though, logically, they'd have a much better shot at power and success if they just stayed put. So, what gives?
Well, the argument is that this is anything but random. It's actually a specific set of behaviors, a game really, that was dreamed up centuries ago by the British Empire. A game that was then passed down to America, and it's still being played today by elites all across the globe. To really get it, though, we've got to rewind the clock.
Our story actually starts not with Britain, but with the empire that came before it, Spain. At its peak, the Spanish Empire was the richest, most powerful force on Earth. They were just swimming in silver from the New World. But, as it turns out, that incredible success had a catch. It was also the very thing that would lead to their downfall.
You see, the source lays out this predictable cycle of how empires rise and fall. And for Spain, all that massive, easy wealth led to the country getting, well, kind of lazy and arrogant. They basically stopped doing the hard stuff themselves. Instead, they started farming out all their manufacturing, their trade, even their shipping to their hungrier rivals. You guessed it, the Dutch and the English.
So while Spain was slowly falling apart, its rivals were getting seriously rich. But that created a whole new problem for them. See, Europe back then was just a mess of constant wars. If you were a wealthy merchant, you were probably living in constant fear that an army would just march in and take all your stuff. This created a massive, urgent need for one simple thing: a safe place to stash your cash.
And that was the million-dollar question. How do you protect your capital? Lending money to a king, that was a huge gamble. He could lose a war, he could die, or he could just wake up one morning and decide, nah, I'm not paying you back. So the merchants of Europe were desperate for a safer system. And wouldn't you know it, the English and the Dutch cooked up something truly revolutionary. The way this analysis tells it, the Glorious Revolution of 1688 wasn't really just a political thing. It was basically a financial merger. You had the English nobility and the rich Dutch merchants joining forces. They put a new king on the throne, handed all the real power over to Parliament, and then they created an institution that would literally change the world: the Bank of England.
And this was the absolute game changer. Think about it. Instead of lending your money to some king who could be gone tomorrow, you could now lend it to the entire nation of England. The debt was guaranteed by Parliament, backed by the whole country's tax revenue. All of a sudden, your investment wasn't just a bet, it was secure. It was protected by the state itself. Now, this whole new system had some serious philosophical muscle behind it from thinkers like John Locke. And the research points out a really critical detail here. The entire point of the government and its laws became protecting private property. And, this is the key part, the government made a point not to ask where you got that property. Your gold was safe, no questions asked.
So now Britain has this unbelievably powerful tool, right? A totally secure, safe deposit box for global money. And with that, they were ready to build a whole new kind of empire. This one wasn't just about grabbing land. It was all about controlling the world's wealth.
And this new empire-building strategy had three main parts. First, finance. They used their super secure system to protect and, even launder the money of elites from other countries. Second was schooling. They set up an education system designed to teach the best and brightest that, the British way was the best way. And third, the Royal Navy. That was the muscle, there to make sure everyone played by the rules.
So this created this incredibly powerful incentive. The offer Britain made to local leaders all over the world was, as the source puts it, pretty simple. Look, help us get rich off your country, and in return, we'll use our system to protect your share of the loot. We'll hide it, we'll clean it, and we'll make sure your family is set for life, safe and sound inside our empire. How could you say no to that? Okay, so you're probably thinking, sure, but that all ended when the British Empire fell apart, right? Well, the argument here is that the game never actually stopped. The empire just went into stealth mode. Just take a look at the world's major offshore financial centers. You know, the places that specialize in protecting money, no questions asked. See a pattern here? The Caribbean, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai. As the analysis notes, pretty much all of them are located in the ghost of the old British Empire. It's kind of spooky.
And this is really the core idea. That whole system of taking wealth and protecting it for the elites, it didn't just vanish. It just went underground. It transformed from an obvious empire of warships and governors to a hidden one of fancy lawyers, bankers, and secret offshore accounts.
And the source material really doesn't pull any punches about what this all means morally. It uses some seriously strong language. It calls the whole system demonic. Why? Because it actively encourages and protects corruption all over the world. It lets powerful people steal wealth from their own countries and then park it safely in the West.
But here's the final massive twist in the story. According to this analysis, the very system that made the West so incredibly powerful is now rotting it from the inside out. The game has started to eat its own creators.
There's a term for this, over-financialization. It's what happens when a society piles up so much cash, a lot of it from shady places, that it just loses its drive, its unity. Does that sound at all familiar?
The parallel is just striking. The analysis argues that the West today is showing the exact same symptoms of decay that the Spanish Empire did 400 years ago. An obsession with moving money around instead of actually making things, corruption everywhere you look, and a lazy, arrogant elite class. It's like the cycle of empire is coming all the way back around.
And one of the biggest, most obvious symptoms of this rot? Just massive inequality. This game, which was designed to suck in money from all over the world, has funneled unbelievable wealth and power into the hands of a tiny, tiny group of people. And what happens then? The political system gets captured. It stops working for regular people and starts serving only the interests of the super rich. So the ultimate irony in all of this? The system Britain built was just too good at its job. It was so successful at sucking in the world's wealth that it ended up poisoning the very countries that created it. They became victims of their own success.
So with this much decay and inequality from within, the source is basically saying the current global game just can't last. It's breaking. We're getting close to what the analysis calls a game reset, the end of a whole 400-year chapter of history.
And that leaves us with the biggest question of all, doesn't it? If this 400-year-old game really is coming to an end, who's writing the rules for whatever comes next? And maybe more importantly, will we even realize we're playing?